Hello, everybody, and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43, and tonight we are taking our very first look at the new Pan-Asian Tier 7 cruiser, the Irian, or at least that's the best I've got for it. If you've got another way of saying it, Irian, I don't know. Let me know down in the comments if you know what this is supposed to sound like. I think it's Irian, but I could be wrong. Anyway, let's get to our commander. We're running Azure Lane Harbin with Gunichi Mikawa and Jerzy Swirsky as our inspirations. We have Beyond Range, we have Look at Me Now, we have Velocious, and we have Knuckle Duster as our inspiration, or as our commander skills, and then we have Refill Station as our final perk. Now, you could go fully packed, but I wanted to get a little bit extra DPM because this thing is all about the guns. So, highly recommend you build into the guns, and the concealment build can work pretty well. Especially given the fact that this thing's maneuverability isn't great. So let's get into that. Before we get into it, though, we've got Aiming Systems Mod 1. We've got Propulsion Mod. I was running steering gears, but honestly, this thing is so freaking slow that it's ridiculous. So trying to get the steering gears to be any use is kind of stupid. Mainly because the turrets take so long to traverse. So Propulsion Mod seems to be the better option of the two for me, anyway. Concealment System Module. We've got for extra concealment, and then of course we're running the Epic Main Battery Mod 3 to get a little bit faster reload for every 30,000 damage we've got. Now, as far as the overall consumables, you got your normal sonar. It does detect ships out to 5 kilometers, which is kind of nice. It's not amazing, but it comes in handy. Repair Party is not a particularly good repair party. It does okay, but again, not particularly great, but would you trade it for going for defensive AA? No. Torpedo reload booster, you get 2 of these, but they take 5 or 6 minutes to recover. So yeah, not ideal there either. We are running the Italian Unity flag because if you squint just right, kind of looks like a Spartan helmet. And then of course we have the Type 9 camo that comes with the ship, I believe, or can come with the ship. 41,200 hit points. So typical Pan-Asian has no hit points. Artillery, you have 152 millimeter, 57 caliber B38 primary guns. You get 12 of those in a 4x3 configuration. They fire out to 16.9 kilometers with this build. Reload time is 6.8 seconds. 180 degree turn time is 29.4 seconds. So there's that slow traverse time that I was telling you about. It's awful. Reload time is actually not too bad, but it's not amazing for a light cruiser. When you think of a light cruiser, you think, you know, things like Cleveland and stuff like that should be able to reload a little bit faster, but it's not exactly what you think. These are more closer to like Russian guns. You get a nice flat trajectory, meaning they're easier to hit targets with, and the AP is surprisingly effective as well. HE shell maximum damage 2200 with a 13.8% chance to set fires. AP shell maximum damage of just 3300. So again, it's a light cruiser, but it's all about the volume, and you can pin pretty much anything that gives you a broadside, and you'll be chunking them. I'll show a little bit of that in the video coming up. But secondaries, 100 millimeter 70 caliber SM51S. You get 12 of those, reaching out to 5.2 kilometers, reloading in 4 seconds, doing a maximum of 1400 HE damage, as well as 7.8% chance to set fires. Torpedo launchers. You do have 2 quintuple launchers, one on either side of the ship. Reaches out to 13.5 kilometers and does a maximum damage of 16,110. We did take a little bit of a hit on our torpedo damage because of one of our skills that we're running, but one of our skills that we are also running ends up putting some of that damage back in, I think, if I remember correctly. But either way, 13.5 kilometer range is nice with 69 knots, but these are deep water torpedoes, so the unfortunate side is you can't really aerial denial destroyers. These are solely for big ships, so anything from cruiser and up, right? AA defense, 37 millimeter 61 shies. You get 32 of those, doing 147 damage per second, reaching up 3.5 kilometers. And then you've got the 100 millimeter 70 caliber SM51Ss. You get 12 of those. Those are dual purpose secondaries that reach out to 5 kilometers and do 117 damage per second. So AA wise, it's not bad. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. Maneuverability, 34 knots with this build again. Going with Velocious and then putting propulsion mod on seems to make this thing a little bit less obnoxious to play. 760-meter turning circle. Again, this is essentially a Russian cruiser. Don't get it twisted. The horrendous ability to turn the ship beyond, just wiggling is awful. And again, we did swap over to propulsion mod from steering gears, so instead of having like an 8.3 second rudder shift, we have a 10.3 second rudder shift. But again, when you're not going full turns, it's not that bad to have a longer rudder shift because you can wiggle relatively easily enough to dodge a lot of shells. And then, of course, with propulsion mod, you can speed up, slow down quickly to be able to dodge those shells as well. Concealment. Detectability range by sea is 7.8 kilometers. That is the big thing about this. You can build into concealment and make this thing absolutely absurdly sneaky. This can sneak up on destroyers. It also allows you to be very, very aggressive in getting out on flanks and trying to push torpedoes where people aren't expecting them. Detectability by air is 5.5, guaranteed is always 2, and then detectability while firing in smoke is 4.9 kilometers. Now, the other side of this, first of all, that is fantastic smoke firing penalty for a light cruiser as well. Usually they're up around 6 kilometers, so you got over a full 1 kilometer concealment advantage if you have a smoke screen. But the problem is you don't get a smoke screen unless somebody drops it for you, or you just happen to, follow a destroyer and jump in his smoke screen. Okay, so the stats are going to look better than you'd think, and I'll go over why. Battles played 6, 5 victories, only lost once. The ship is not bad. I just haven't had a chance to really showcase the ship at all. Like, every game that I've been a part of tonight has just been an absolute raffle stomp, and I have not had a chance to really showcase the staying power and what this thing is capable of if it gets a chance to shoot at multiple targets for an extended period of time. But that being said, 40% main gun accuracy, 8% torpedo accuracy. So you can see I'm actually landing a decent amount of torpedoes with this thing. But again, you get 5 per side. You get 1 reload booster at every 6 minutes. So you're not going to get them particularly quickly. Average damage has been pretty decent for a cruiser for me. But again, like you rely on the game so much to allow you to be able to do things. But let's go over the actual armor. Just assume you have no armor. It may look like you have an armor belt. That's your Citadel. This is, like I said, this is like a Russian cruiser. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But it feels very Russian to me. Yeah, this thing is just... It's squishy, okay? Just like every other Pan-Asian. And it has a raised Citadel. And it's an exposed Citadel because, again, that is not an armor belt. That is your Citadel, right? So anywhere anybody pins along the side of the ship has potential to Citadel you. Not ideal, right? As far as the bow side plating and all that, or the bow and stern plating, it's 25 mil, as you'd expect. So overmatchable by everything, 15-inch guns and above. I think, yeah, I don't think 14 inches overmatches the 25 mil. So yeah, it'd be 15-inch guns and above, which is pretty much everything battleship-wise above that you're going to be facing, except maybe Florida or Pozharsky or something like that with 14-inch guns. Repeater can be equipped with torpedo reload booster. Yes, it has it. It can come in handy, but isn't particularly amazing. Hidden above average concealment. Yeah, that is the big selling point for this ship, if you had to ask me. And then, of course, deep water torpedoes. Nothing special there. Project 68 BIS. That is definitely Russian. Ordzoniz. What? Why? Ordzoniz. Whatever. Was laid down in October 1949 in Leningrad. Launched in September of 1950 and became part of the 4th Fleet in August 1952. In 1961, the cruiser was transferred to the Black Sea Fleet, and in 1962, the Ords was handed over to the Indonesian Navy, where she received the name Irian. She served in the Indonesian Navy until 1972. She entered service in 1952, and there were 21 of them in the series. Honestly, I like this thing. I really do. But again, I just haven't really had a chance to showcase the ship all that much. I feel like it hits pretty good with AP and HE, but overall, I think it's a pretty solid ship. So let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Haven, and if you blink, you're going to miss this match. That's how quick this match is going to end. But I want you guys to see just what this thing's capable of in the short amount of time that we had to play this game. Okay, this is literally how every game has gone tonight. There has been no balance tonight at all. Every game has just been an absolute stomp fest. Whether it's my team, which generally has been my team, or the enemy team, which Ravel stomped me in one game tonight. But there wasn't much I could do about that. But I still put up decent numbers in the ship in every single one of those, which kind of leads me to believe this thing kind of nasty with it. If I'm doing the amount of damage that I'm doing in the short amount of time that I'm doing it, then you can kind of get an idea of if this thing is left alone for long enough, and if the game lasts long enough, this is a problem. Okay? And I cannot understate or overstate just how nasty this little boat can be. Now, again, there is a lot of caveats to that. Again, it's very squishy. Anything that shoots at this thing with an AP round pretty much pins it and does pretty nasty damage to it. The heal isn't particularly amazing, okay? But with all of that being said, these guns are nasty. Whether you're shooting HE or AP, it's going to slap people. And it's going to do a pretty good job regardless. Now, obviously, it's kind of like limited in terms of its scope against destroyers. Yes, it can light people up at 15 or at 5 kilometers. But unless you have a person in your division that's in a destroyer and has smoke screen, you really are limited in your ability to push in and try to help get rid of the destroyers early. Because while you do have a decent amount of firepower, in my experience fighting the destroyers, like, I can't kill them faster than I would get killed if a battleship or whatever shoots at. You know what I mean? So you can't just YOLO straight in and murder the destroyer right out the gate. Now, one of the things you'll notice is, see how flat these trajectories are? This allows you to hit things at longer range, which is pretty nice. And against battleships, this thing is dirty. Like, battleships are going to hate your life. They will want you gone, I promise you. Because this thing is a fire spammer, but it is also capable of hurting people with AP. And we're going to try to showcase that a little bit later. But for now, you can see that I've got a double fire on the La Foudre. The two destroyers just counter each other, which is fine with me. It is whatever. But that's going to set the stage for how this game ends, to be perfectly honest. You can see our cruiser ends up putting down a smoke, or not a smoke screen, but a radar here. We're going to take full advantage of that and keep burning everything that we can. You can see we are shattering some shells on like the armor plate of the turrets and stuff like that, but when we don't hit like thick armor, it's pinning, right? Like if we hit superstructure, if we hit like even I don't know if it pins 32. I would imagine it probably does, or close to it. But it pins most of the stuff that it hits. It just, you can't hit the armor face of turrets and stuff like that. But as you see this guy go broadside, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to AP and show you guys just how nasty this AP can be. Like, if given an opportunity, this thing will chunk you. Okay, battleships? So be careful giving this thing a broadside, because look at that damage. It's no joke. And this is one thing that light cruisers, for whatever reason, like heavy cruisers tend to switch to AP more often, but for whatever reason, light cruisers tend to ignore APs more than they should. Maybe it's just me, maybe I have a small sample size in terms of light cruisers, but it seems like light cruisers are far more likely to just sit there with HE the entire time, rather than learning to switch over to AP, because they have some of the nastiest DPM in the game when it comes to AP. And I've showcased it in my Cleveland. I've showcased it in the Helena, you know, all these cruisers that are known for spamming HE all the time. If you give them a broadside, they can absolutely terrorize you with AP. And this thing is no different. We've got the HE there, and then if we need to, we can switch over to the AP and do just as nasty with AP, especially if it's up close, and we can shoot up into the, you know, less armored areas of the ship. But there we get another double fire on this freaking Vladdy. This guy's had a bad day. But this, again, this is exactly what happens every time I get into a cruiser like this. I just can't get one of those games that's more of a draw and kind of sits there. But the Vladdy's going to go down to my fire. Our team has pushed up the left flank hard. The right flank over here hasn't been able to do anything. And our teammates out here have just completely held these guys at bay. Between Petro and then the battleship out here, they have completely murdered all these cruisers that were out here. And all that's left over here is just a little tiny, I think it's a Delaware actually, or Nebraska. But we're going to go ahead and just yellow rush the man. I'm not scared of him at all. And you'll see that apparently neither is my teammates, because they're going to YOLO rush as well. And you can see the friendly radars, the Nebraska initially, and then I go ahead and hit my sonar because I thought I'd be able to light them up through the island, and sure enough I do. But here's the downside of this ship. The biggest downside is its maneuverability. It's very slow turning. It's got very low top speed for a light cruiser specifically. But yeah, if you get past all of that and you get a chance, you can absolutely smash people. And you can see we're going to go ahead and use our reload booster here. Get a shot of AP into that man's side. Get some good pins there. We did end up shattering 2 shells and then 4 shells ricochet because we hit a little bit thicker armor. But you can see that just shooting up a little bit into that raised deck, that flight deck, we do a lot more damage. And then of course the torpedoes are going to get there and they're going to do torpedo things. So it doesn't really matter. And then this man goes from full health to no health real quick. And we get our dev strike too, because why not, right? Why not? But either way, I feel like this was a pretty good showcase of the ship's ability to burn things as well as use the AP and the torpedoes. If you get a match where this thing gets spotting and gets to use its DPM, I think this thing's going to be a terror. But I'll have to see what you guys think down in the comments below. If you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.